want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason. His body was never recovered from the lake after he drowned.
When we decided to make the second film, I wasn't sure what it should be. Should we be trying to exploit the title, Friday the 13th, and just have another scary movie with somehow or other connected to Friday the 13th? Or should it involve the character Jason? And Jason as a character hadn't existed. He was just this gag at the end with Ari Lehman coming up out of the water.
We're the first to return here. 5 years. 5 long years he's been dormant. And he's hungry.
And Steve Miner, who had been my line producer and was a very close friend, had decided that he would like to try to direct the second one, and I did everything I could to make that happen. And my wife, who had worked on those films, wound up being his editor. And so that I was close to the next two.
Jason's out there, watching, always on the prowl for intruders, waiting to kill, waiting to devour.
I thought he brought class to it. He seemed to have a good grip on exactly what we were doing, you know, what the genre was and what the public wanted to see and what Paramount wanted from it.
What if there is a Jason?
Jason's a legend, Jim. A legend.
When Steve approached me to do part 2, I said, sure. I don't remember reading a script. He basically told me what the story was going to be about, and that was fine with me, because I had other things going on in my life at the time, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody was happy, I guess. I don't know. Who knew that we were going to do a sequel? No one had a clue. Yeah. But as I understand, as soon as it came out, they were already thinking about the sequel.
Mom. Hello?
The second one was probably just a few days of shooting. It was up in Connecticut. Don't remember a whole lot about it. It was just me and a black cat and a head in the refrigerator.
I had come to New York seeking my fame and fortune, like a lot of artists that arrived in New York City. I went to school at Lee Strasberg. I thought my career was underway. You get an agent. The agent calls you on the phone and says, "Oh, I've got this little part for you to be a camp counselor in Friday the 13th, Part 2." And in that time period, you know, it was kind of just sort of still in the unknown stages. So I said, okay, well, give me the script. I'll look it over, and then I'll go audition.
Yeah, I remember I was doing a job, a print job, and I was in the Poconos. And then they called me and said, you know, you have an audition for Friday the 13th, Part 2. And I said, oh, my God, a horror film. And so I said, okay. So I went back, and I remember I did it, and I got it, and I went, okay. And it was great. It was fun. You know, maybe I should have kept going, Part 3, 4, 5, 6, but it was good. It was good.
So I auditioned for the all-American guy that was the counselor at the camp, the famous Camp Crystal Lake. So unfortunately, I didn't get the part, but they said, you know, we like you, so we'd like to have you around. We know you've been to Hollywood Stuntman School, and we know you can handle all the stunts in the movie. Stair falls, all kinds of stuff. So they said, would you like to be Jason? So I said, hey, listen, I'm happy to do anything you want me to do.
It was an audition. I was in New York. I was an actress, and it was an audition like all of them. Kind of show up at this place and pretend, you know, you're walking through the woods screaming. I think that's what it was. But what I remember most is the looping at the end. And I had to go into a sound stage and just basically scream. and scream and scream. And I'm not really a screamer type, but so you have to kind of hit a certain decibel, and it just felt funny, because they just keep plugging it in everywhere.
As far as I'm concerned, these guys couldn't have done a better job. I mean, it was a 30-day, low-budget, $1 million production. Yeah, all I can say is they did an amazing job, because it's part of a big story.
What was interesting is that shooting the film, I did get, as I said, sort of the heebie-jeebies, I kind of give yourself a little. But when I saw it, I thought, God, I don't look half as scared as I thought I was at the moment, So, it was scary. It was, for some reason. I remember that somebody had their old neck all make-upped up, with all the wires in it and everything, and they couldn't eat dinner. They had to eat in a straw, and they had slashes in their head, and seeing your friends hung upside down and with gaping wounds, and it's just and it was cold, and it gets creepy after a while, and all of a sudden, and also I'm living in this sort of zone of fear, trying to kind of elicit as much fear as I possibly can, so maybe that had something to do with it. I remember there was one scene, I guess I was trying to escape from the kitchen window, and I jumped down, and it seemed like everything was a stunt, and at one point the stunt coordinator said, you should get stunt adjustments for all this. And all of a sudden I kind of felt cool. I thought, oh my God, I'm doing all my own stunts, whatever that meant. But, the adrenaline would start going, and, you just sort of jump here and do this. Okay, you're going to jump out of the window, and then you're going to run down here. But, in the meantime, you'd slip and fall and, try to get your grip and bearing and, and starting the chainsaw. You learn quickly,
There was a fella, his name was Carl Fullerton, and we understood it that he was a protege of the famous Dick Smith, and I suppose he was instructed by the director of the film, the story, to make Jason look as bad as he could. And Jason, they thought he was dead, but he was stomping around the woods, and he was getting chewed on by animals, and he just had this horrible life. He was supposed to look as bad as they could make him. 2 sets of plate dentures that went, in my mouth, and built up gums, so it really distorted your face. Rubber forms, it got glued all over your head. New mouth, new this, they closed this eye off, which is very painful if you close an eye off for 12 hours at a time. They built a new eye here. So you get a little dizzy, you lose your depth perception, and then I do all these stunts, not knowing really, where I was. So you had the fake eye, you had the teeth, all this mongoloid hair, and it had a little bit of the Elephant Man look to the structures of the skull, and then with this long hair, coming down. And by the time my final, the one scene where the Jason's face is really seen for the first time in the movie, I was angry and I wanted to kill somebody. And I'm drooling and snot's coming out of your nose. I mean, you are just in another world. You're hurting, you're pained, you wanted to blast through that window and kill this girl. No question. So that Jason face, it was horrific.
As soon as Jason was about to bash through the window, the high-speed camera would start. And I had to act all calm, and the dog's coming up, and I'm hearing, and this guy's about to bash through behind me. It was really scary. Every time it was really scary. Well, it was only supposed to be one time, and it was all fake, the plastic glass and the balsa wood and all that stuff, and Jason was behind me swinging on one of those things, and But it was scary doing it. And then something didn't work. And then we had to do it again.
Well, we built a platform outside the house, and it was long enough so I knew I had 3 steps and then jump. And then you would go whoosh, like that, and just bust the whole window out and the frame and all of that. Those boards were scored, maybe half. So that stunt was 3 steps, 1, 2, and come in, and glass flying, wood flying, and that was a kill scene when they thought Jason was, you know, long dead and gone. So yeah, the girl was relaxing, and I suppose that's, in a horror film, that's when you really nail the audience, when they have no clue that the maniacal killer is still lurking.
And then I remember Steve said, hey, you know, do you want to like drive into town today? And you know, he had a car, and I said, okay, great. So we go on this drive, and it was beautiful in Connecticut. We're kind of driving, we're kind of talking about what's going on, and he said, I have some news I gotta tell you. What? He said, we have to do that scene again. I thought, oh my God, can I do this scene again? Can I don't know, it really got me, that scene. So obviously we did, and I think they got it, and I mean, they used it, and it was fine, but he had to kind of talk me through that. The scene where I put on Jason's mother's sweater. You know, Warrington was gone by that time, and I have to pick up this machete and go like this and bring it down over top of Jason or something like that, and the timing missed, and he was supposed to turn this pickaxe sideways, and the timing was wrong, and so I went like that, and I hit his finger, and he had to go to the emergency room. I think it was like, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think I put the machete through his finger or something. It was bad. It was bad. But he came back 2 hours, like we didn't shoot for a couple hours. It was in the middle of the night. He comes back and he's like, wow, he's got a, you know, like a rubber on his finger, and he's like, everything's fine. Put makeup on it, keep going. And I mean, that's sort of, you know, it was just another, so I guess, a battle wound for him, you know, it's okay.
It was like we were playing a game in the woods. It was very exciting for, you know, somebody 21, 22 years old to be working in a motion picture. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're an extra, you know, walking by somebody. This is very exciting to be involved, to be part of something.